We're back. All right, I got an hour to go through there as a solution. So let me level set real quick. The first book that Bill writes is There is a Solution and his story. These two things. As I said, his story takes us through the entire process. Now he's going to expand on it. Kind of like I described James expanding on the Sermon on the Mount. Bill takes his story and what he'd experienced and he breaks it up into these different chapters. I call this the answer chapter. Bill Wilson is going to give the solution to alcoholism in this chapter. Why we don't want to accept that solution is up to every individual, but he's going to give it to us. So in the title, I put a box around the word A. What happens when you put A in front of the word solution? What does it do to the word solution? Makes it singular. So how many solutions are there? One. So there's one program, one plan, one solution. Interesting. We have Alcoholics Anonymous, now 100 men and women who were once just as hopeless as Bill, all have recovered. They have solved the drink problem. Bold. They've recovered. Doesn't say we're living in recovery. It says recovered. We are average Americans. All sections of this country and many of its occupations are represented, as well as many political, economic, and social, and what? Religious backgrounds. Bill is going to talk to us about religion as we move forward a number of different times. It's not something that gets talked about very much in the rooms. We are people who normally would not mix, but there exists among us a fellowship, a friendliness, an understanding which is incredibly wonderful. We are like passengers of a great liner the moment after rescue from shipwreck. The camaraderie, the joyousness, the democracy pervades the vessel from the steerage to the captain's table. The steerage is the cheap seats. It's the cheapest part of the boat to get a ticket on. The captain's table, of course, is where the rich sit. Unlike the feeling of the shipwrecked passengers, however, the joy and escape from disaster does not, underline that, subside as we go in our individual ways. The feeling of having shared a common peril is one element. We put a lot of weight on that one element today. It's just one element. A lot of times when you show up at a meeting somewhere or you're hearing over and over and over people's stories of how they, drank. And then what happened, how they stopped. Very rarely do you get to hear the full solution. But this is one element. The feeling of having shared, but that in itself would never have held us together as we are now joined. Now, there are a number of different facts in the book. There are 8 of them. This is the first one. If you look on the A page, it tells you where you can find them all on a list. Remember, a lot of times when you read that A page, it'll send you to other places. We're not going there right now. But we're going to get 3 of those facts in this chapter. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. What does the word common mean? They've got this one way that they're doing it. It truly binds us together. It's the way that they're approaching their problem. One way. We have a way out. We're in a maze alcoholism's created. We need the way out. What's the path? How do I get there? Which we can absolutely agree upon, which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news, the gospel. This book carries for those who suffer from alcoholism. Now, if you look at the scriptures on the bottom of the last page, the first one there is about the gospel message. The other one there is about the way, the truth, and the life. So each one of these scriptures at the bottom of these pages follow the theme of the page. So it tells you where we're going. On the next one, we're going to get busy and get a lot going on here because we're going to talk about the ex-alcoholic again. An illness of this sort, and we've come to believe it as an illness. The allergy isn't something that we control. The body will not change. It will always be allergic to alcohol once it is. Involves those about in a way no other sickness. If a person has cancer, all feel sorry for him. No one is angry or hurt. But not so with the alcoholic illness. For with it goes inhalation of all things worthwhile in life. It engulfs all whose lives it touches. It's a disease that spreads from human to human. It's got contagion. Cancer doesn't. You can't come in contact with me and get cancer. But you hang around with me a long time when I'm drinking and you're my wife, you're going to have some codependent issues maybe, huh? You're going to get wrapped around. You want to be the adult child of an alcoholic? You've picked up some things along the way. Why? You've heard it. You've seen it. You've come to believe it. That's how this thing spreads itself, and that's what it's referring to. It inhales everything around the sufferer, so their lives become warped. It brings misunderstanding, fierce resentment, financial insecurity, disgusted friends and employers, warped lives, blameless children, sad wives, parents. Anyone could increase the list. We're not just hurting ourselves. We hear that a lot. I'm not hurting anyone. Oh, yeah. I'd like to talk to your family about that. We hope these volumes will inform and comfort those who are or who may be affected. There are many. Highly competent psychiatrists who have dealt with us have found it sometimes impossible to persuade an alcoholic to discuss his situation without reservation. That means honestly. By the time we reach the end of the road, lying has become second nature. Lying probably is immoral. There might be a morality issue there, right? But we've learned to lie. We're covering up. We're hiding. We got shame. We hid. We're naked. We're afraid. We hide. We lie. We cheat. We steal. And it affects everybody around us. Strangely enough, strangely though, wives, parents, and intimate friends usually find us more unapproachable than do psychiatrists and doctors. Huh? Don't be telling me that. We won't take a word from the people closest to us. We pound on them. But as ex-alcoholics who have found this solution, he's going to give us the solution. He's setting us up here. They've got this. Something's different. Who are properly armed with the facts, there are 8 facts, go find them, about himself, can generally win an entire confidence of another alcoholic in a few hours. Within a couple of hours, you should be able to take somebody through step 1. They should understand the allergy of the body, the obsession of the mind has become compulsive, and the spiritual break. By your story, by what you know, by what you share with them. And then they get decision point. Do you want to be healed? Do you want your life to change? And if their answer is yes, then they're ready to take action. Do you have what I have? That doesn't take very long. It's not about making lists and, what are those kind of lists? Gratitude lists and all those things, which are all good, but have nothing to do with the first step. There's a lot of great practices we have, but they don't really have much to do with the program other than without the right context. Okay? There we go. Until such understanding is reached, little or nothing can be done, nothing can be accomplished. Now watch this, all you responsible parties in the room. That the man who is making the approach has had some difficulty. That he obviously knows what he is talking about. His whole deportment shouts to the new prospect that he is a man with a real answer. That he has no holier-than-thou attitude. Nothing whatever except a sincere desire to be helpful. That there are no fees there to pay. No axes to grind, no people to please, no lectures to endure. Take a look at that for a second. Who's making the approach? I don't know what the practice is out here in Montana, but in California, when they start the meeting, they ask who the newcomers are and have them stand up. And then they say to the newcomer, or they say who's available to be a sponsor, and people put their hands up. And then they tell the newcomer to go talk to one of the people with their hands up at the end of the meeting. Is that a practice they have here? Yeah, it is? It's backwards. It's our job to approach. When the newcomer comes into the room, we should know enough about the fellowship to know that he's new. We should walk up and introduce ourselves to people we don't know. That's how we become part of a fellowship. Not by going in and getting preachy, just by going in and extending our hand to the newcomer. And the people that regularly attend that meeting will see that you're a man who's there with a sincere desire to help. No holier-than-thou attitude, no axe to grind. We don't take that. Those of the alcoholic kind will not take that holier-than-thou attitude, lecturing, none of that. fact, this is probably one of the more difficult ways to do this thing with a large group. It's best one-on-one. And when you sit and read this book with somebody, you're going to have an experience like you've never had before. These are the conditions we found most effective. After such an approach, many take up from their beds and walk again. There's the pool. Get up from your mat and walk. Look at Bill's references. They get up and they walk. He's such a master. None of us make a sole vocation. A vocation is a job. Bill had envisioned having treatment centers and all kinds of stuff all over the place, and that's not the direction that it went. Well, we sure have those now. Some of them are really good. Some SLEs are really good, but a lot of them won't receive funding unless they're secular. Therefore, they aren't talking about the solution. So they dance around what's in this book without understanding and complete sharing. And people get lost. They just keep wandering around in the dark until somebody sits there and reads it to them and points out the things that we're pointing out today. We feel that elimination of the drink is but a beginning. A much more important demonstration, that's a show or expression of our principles, lies before us in our respective homes, occupations, and affairs. You want to know if a man's well, see how his life is going. Sometimes you'll hear somebody talking to me and they sound fantastic. You'll see that they're living in their car 5 years sober. Some ain't right about that. They may have hit a patch of hard luck, but oftentimes there's something really different going on there. So you got to look at how their life is working. Is their life working? All of us spend much of our spare time in this sort of effort. We are going to describe. A few are fortunate enough to be so situated they give nearly all their time to this work. I retired last year. I get to spend a lot of time doing this. If we kept on the way we were going, there is little doubt that much good will result. But from the surface, the problem would hardly be scratched. Those of us who live in large cities are overcome by the reflection that close by hundreds are dropping off into oblivion. Now that's hundreds of thousands. There's 40,000, 50,000, 80,000, I'm not sure where the number is today, meetings every single day. In Santa Clara County, California, where I come from, there's 645 meetings every single day. Newcomers walking in, walking out, walking in, walking out, walking in, walking out. The believer being told, hey, don't say that, you'll scare off the newcomer. But as I said yesterday, 62% of Americans claim to be Christian. Most people who walk in the rooms are not afraid to hear about God. But some of the people that are there want to block that somehow. They think that it's not AA. Man, you read the book, you can't miss it. So I don't know, but that's the way it is. That's the world that we live in. If we keep on this way, there will be little doubt that much result. I read that. Many could recover if they had the opportunity we have enjoyed. How then shall we present that which has been given so freely to us? How do we make a good witness? How do I take what was given to me by Ebby, that got connected by Dr. Silkworth, got connected by Reverend Shoemaker, got connected by Father Dowley, got connected by Hank, got connected by Bill? How do we take 4 years later when we're writing this book and lay out a recipe for this thing? Because it's God's. So how can I talk about it in a way that's meaningful without trying to change things? Now here it goes. We have concluded to publish an anonymous volume setting forth the problem as we see it. We shall bring our to utmost task to combine our experience and knowledge. This should suggest a useful program for anyone concerned with the drinking problem. Now remember, as I said, this was the first chapter of the book. So right now, we've kind of read what would be an intro. Sounds like we're covering extra ground after reading Bill's story and the doctor's opinion. So when you look at that context, and now it goes on, it says, of necessity. Now, the word necessity there, put a box around that word, highlight it. It means indispensable. It's not one of the words that I pointed out when we published the book, but it's indispensable. It is indispensable that there be discussions of matters medical, we got the doctor's opinion, psychiatric, we're going to hear from Dr. Young, social, and what? Religious. If you leave out the religious component, you've left out something that's indispensable. Your biblical knowledge, how limited it may be, is going to be more than a guy that's got zero. My sponsor used to tell me just stay one day ahead of him. Well, Scotty shows up, I got to read to him. I'm not very far in the process myself. He said, just stay one page ahead. You'll be fine. You start working with a newcomer right away. We've been at this for many hours. You can read, tell them what you know, give them what you got, invite them back. Just make sure you stay one page ahead. Get studied up. We are aware that these matters are from their very nature controversial. Nothing would please us so much as to write a book which would contain no basis for contention or argument. We shall do our utmost to achieve that ideal. Most of us sense that real tolerance is to be fair and objective of other people's shortcomings and viewpoints. You don't have to believe the way I believe. You can have all kinds of defects of character that I think should be gone. It don't matter. It's not my business what's happening with the other man. I'm to love and accept him where he is. It's a big principle. And viewpoints with respect to their opinions are attitudes which make us, page 20, more useful to others. Our very lives, there it is again, as ex-alcoholics. Gosh, I love the first printing, first edition. These guys were banging it home. We recovered. We no longer live that way. It's not our way of life. We're not dependent on meetings. In fact, they didn't meet very often. Depending on our constant thought of others and how we might meet their needs. Boom, there's the answer. Being of service. You may already be asking yourself, why is it that all of us have become so very ill from drinking? Doubtless, you're curious to discover how and why, in the face of expert opinions to the contrary, we have recovered from a hopeless condition of mind and body. If you are an alcoholic who wants to get over it, you may be asking, what do I do? That's the last question. When you walk a man through, when you go to page 280, it says steps by the book, the first step, do you have what I have? What are you willing to do about it? And if they say, I'll do anything, your man's ready to move forward. That's the only answer. What are you willing to do about your problem? I'll do anything. Great, I can be of service. Are you ready to be healed? Are you ready to start that journey? It is the purpose of this book to answer such questions specifically. So we're going to get some exact instructions. We shall tell you what we have done. Before going into the detailed discussion, it may be well summarized at some point as we summarize some points as we see them. Now he's going to give us a little shot here. How many times have people said, I can take it or leave it alone? Why can't he? Why don't you drink like a gentleman? That fellow can't handle his liquor. Why don't you try beer and wine? Lay off the hard stuff. His willpower must be weak. I hated that one. He could stop if he wanted to. She's such a sweet girl. I should think he'd stop for her sake. The doctor told him that if he ever drank again, it would kill him. But there he is, all lit up again. Now I want you to write in the margin next to 20.3, normal people. Remember I told you that little story about the Mad Dog 2020 with the 10 kids in the field? And I was the only one with the craving for liquor? People develop their beliefs about the way we drink because of the experience they're having with alcohol. It doesn't make them crave. And that's okay. They can have those things. They can think those things. It's none of our business. We now know better. They don't have what you have. Do you need to point that out to them? No. You need to walk with the knowledge that you're bodily different from those people. But that is how they look at us. And it's okay. Because after 18 months or so, they're not going to look at you that way anymore. Boy, give it some real time. And they won't even, you tell them a story about what you were like, they won't even recognize you. You were what? Come on. You kidding me? That's right. Now, these things were commonplace observations on drinkers, which we hear all the time. In back of them was a world of ignorance and misunderstanding. We see these expressions refer to people whose reactions are very different to ours. The body. Talking about that's it. Don't read anything more into that. The body. It's allergic. Now he's going to take us through the kinds of drinkers again. Here comes the moderate drinker. Moderate drinkers have little trouble giving up liquor entirely if they have good reason for it. They can take it or leave it. These guys show up in AA. They don't need a God solution. You drink too much. Go over there. Those people can help you. They stop. Then you move to the next kind of drinker. Then there's a certain type of hard drinker. He may have the habit badly enough to gradually impair, page 21, him physically and mentally. It may cause him to die a few years before his time. If sufficiently strong reason, now look at the reasons, ill health, got a new girl, falling in love, change of environment, warning from the doctor, shouldn't see your liver on there, become operative, he can stop or moderate. Rooms are full of these people. You talk to them about the strange mental blank spot, they look at you like you got 12 eyes. They'll be the first one to tell you you're nuts. That's why we investigate. Do you have what I have? Although he may find it difficult and troublesome, he may even need medical attention. Had to go to a treatment center to stop. Now here comes the real alcoholic. This is the guy I've been describing, and Bill's going to describe him right here. A real alcoholic is a term that describes physical, mental obsession and compulsion, and the spiritual break. The pattern of drinking, what we've trained our mind to do. He may start off a moderate drinker. Man, I had a good drinking career for a long time. I enjoyed it, and I controlled it, and it was fun. He may not become a continuous or hard drinker, but at some stage of his drinking career, he begins to lose all control over his liquor consumption once he starts to drink. There's the definition. When it comes into the body, the allergic body takes off. I no longer have control. Not everybody knows that. Often when I talk about the strange mental blank spot, people think I'm talking about blackouts. And I know when I hear somebody after I talk about the strange mental blank spot get up and share after me about the blackouts that they had, I know they don't have what I have. Now, does that mean that finding their way to God isn't the right place to be and do? Of course. It's good for all. Our way of living has its advantages for all, and we welcome all. We bring them all in. But there is a person called the real alcoholic who has the physical allergy, the compulsion to drink, and a spiritual brokenness, separation that will not allow them to moderate. Will not allow them the way back. The devil has them, and he ain't letting them go. That's what Bill Wilson told us, right? Okay. Here's a fellow who's been puzzling. Now he's going to go into the description. Puzzling you. Especially his lack of control. He does absurd, incredible, and tragic things when drinking. He's a real Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. In the chapter of the wives, they take him to a fourth extreme, and they call him more or less insanely drunk. That's the guy that ends up in jail and all these other things that start to happen. That's that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He is seldom mildly intoxicated. He is always more or less insanely drunk. His disposition while drinking resembles his normal nature but little. He may be one of the finest fellows in the world, yet let him drink for a day and he frequently becomes disgustingly and even dangerously antisocial. Am I reading anybody's mail? He has a positive genius for getting tight at exactly the wrong moment, particularly when some important decision must be made or engagement kept. He is often perfectly sensible and well-balanced concerning everything except liquor. But in that respect, he is incredibly dishonest, moral problem, selfish, pride problem. He often possesses special abilities, skills, and aptitudes. We are good, smart, hard work. We have so much. The real alcoholic talent that gets wasted. You'll wait till you go to a conference or something. You see the talent running around there. It's singing and all kinds of stuff. We've got great talents. He often possesses special abilities, skills, aptitudes, and a promising career ahead of him. He uses his gift to build up a bright outlook for his family and himself, and he pulls the structure down on his head by a senseless series of sprees. He is a fellow who goes to bed intoxicated and ought to sleep around the clock. Bang. 21-2. Put a circle around that. That got any of your description in there? Anybody see themselves in there when they were drinking? Come on. Of course. Every newcomer can see that and go, oh my gosh. You take that description, you can combine it with an understanding of the strange mental blank spot, and a man has to go, there is no way out except the way of the Father. And that's where a man needs to be in order to become an ex-alcoholic. Yet early the next morning, 22, he searches madly for the bottle he misplaced the night before, drinking that warm beer with the cigarette butt in it. Yeah, come on, where's that warm beer with the cigarette butt? I'm not out yet. It was a heck of a party. There's a whole bunch of red Solo cups. I can drink all those cigarette butts up. Somebody, yeah. Give me more. If he can afford it, he may have liquor concealed all over the house without cigarette butts in it. I threw that in. That's right. To be certain no one gets the entire supply away from him, he throw it down the waste pipe. As matters grow worse, he begins to use a combination of, here it is, high-powered sedatives, more dope, and liquor to quiet his nerves so that he can go to work. Then comes the day when he simply cannot make it, and he gets drunk all over again. That thought's recurring. He doesn't know how to rebuke it. It comes back. Come on, have a drink. Come on, have a drink. And it's on him all day long until he gives in. And then comes that incomprehensible demoralization. Perhaps he goes to the doctor who gives him what? Yee-haw! Dope! Man, go to a treatment center. They'll shoot you up all day long. The treatment center I went to, I go there once a year on my birthday to go and witness to the guys that are there. And now they got a big line where they used to have the room where they used to teach us. Now they got this little metal thing that you kind of whirve through like you're at a Burger King waiting in line to get your burger. And all of the people are all lined up, and all of a sudden 3 windows open up, and they all walk up like baby seals. And somebody hands them a pill container, and they pop it. We're still doing the same thing to addicts, right? That's okay. God bless them. But that's something different than what I've got. Something different. And I'm not against doctors, but, dual diagnosis and all of this stuff. You got to stop drinking and drugging for a year before you can diagnose mental illness. It's the truth. But they'll put you on all kinds of stuff. Anyway, that's outside of the scope of what we're talking about. And that's, kind of my feeling about it. But, they didn't used to do that to us. They didn't used to do that to us. They also didn't spend $1.2 billion a year on hospitals and institutions for us. It's all part of the system that's grinding the real alcoholic to death. That'll all work with the moderate or heavy drinker. You can watch TV, they got that stuff, or you can take a pill now for $49.95 and quit drinking. Takes away the craving. Great, until I have a strange mental blank spot. This is by no means a comprehensive picture of the true alcoholic, as our behavior patterns vary. But this description should identify him roughly. Why does he behave like this? If 100 experiences have shown him that one drink means another debacle with its attendant suffering and humiliation, why does he take one drink? Why can't he stay on the water wagon? Here it is. What has become of his common sense and his willpower that he still sometimes displays with respect to other matters? Now, here we go. Perhaps there will never be a full answer to the question. Opinions vary considerably as to why the alcoholic reacts differently from normal people. We don't know how we get the allergy. We are not sure why, once a certain point is reached, little can be done for him. We break. The allergy of the body can come from excessive drinking. Not everybody has it right out of the gate. It says we cannot answer the riddle. No human power can solve this. Can't answer the riddle. We know that while the alcoholic keeps away from liquor, as he may do for months, look at that, or years, he reacts like other men. You ever see the guy, he's always getting 2 to 4 years? Running around the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous? We are equally positive that once he takes any alcohol, whatever, into his system, something happens both bodily and in the mental sense, which make it virtually impossible for him to stop. The experience of any alcoholic will abundantly confirm this. On the prior page, I I draw a point of interest back to the phenomenon of Silkworth in the Lancet report, and also Young's letter to Bill Wilson. I'm gonna read that right now real quick. I want to turn to page 270. I'm going to take a second. Oh, I only got a minute left. Never mind. We'll get that later. It's time for us to take a break.